Video 9 for the first day ever. I'm doing 2 in one day. So if you think I'm wearing the same thing as the last video, I am, because it's still the same day. But I just wanted to knock out dilations because rotations were so hard. I wanted to go back and do something to finish out the chapter that I think you guys are going to think is fairly easy, or at least a heck of a lot easier than rotations were. So we're looking at, not rotations, this is dilations. And I wrote a long time ago that dilations are the only one where the shapes aren't congruent. They're not the same size. They're still similar because they're all going to have the same kind of scale to them, but they're not the same size anymore. I'm going to start right away by looking at the skills practice. I'm going to graph this shape and I'm going to ask a couple quick questions that my boy and girl in class can answer, and then we can move on. So they give us on number 1 in the skills practice, or excuse me, I'm going to start with number 2. I told you guys I would. Number 2 starts with r at negative 2, 1. And it says a is at 1, 1. And it says I is at 0, negative 1. And it says n is at negative 1, negative 1. So we have, yep, I moved this over just a tad bit, didn't I? Okay. Something spelled wrong, is that what you said?
No, I said, never mind.
R-A-I-N, aren't they clever? That spells rain. Okay, so for each of these, there's a K value. And for number 2, K equals 2. That's bigger than 1. Okay, what happens when that K value is bigger than 1?
It's bigger.
Get in there.
It gets bigger.
Okay, so when it's bigger than 1, this is going to get bigger. Sometimes the K might be less than 1. When the K is less than 1, what happens?
It'll get smaller.
Awesome, thank you, boy and girl.
I think it
So-
just stopped. No, it made a weird
Still going.
noise.
Still going, luckily. Okay, we're still going. Alright, so this one's going to get bigger. It's bigger than 1, right? All that means is we're going to take each of these coordinates and multiply it by that K. So when r was originally negative 2, 1, we just have to multiply negative 2 times 2 and get negative 4, and 1 times 2 and get 2. So that would be negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, up 2. My new r prime is right there. Okay. My n, I'll jump to that one, was negative 1, negative 1. So if I multiply negative 1 times 1, negative 1 times 2, I get negative 2. And if I multiply negative 1 times 2, I also get negative 2. So n would be negative 2, negative 2. So my new n prime is going to be right there. Okay, my a, let's go over to my a. My a was at 1, 1. And well, 2 times 1 and 1 is 2 and 2. 2, 2. So my new a prime is going to be there. And my new I, my I was at 0, negative 1. And so now 2 times 0 is still 0. But now I'm going down negative 2. So now my point is right there. Okay, so it just made it a little bit bigger. It made it, 2 is actually going to be twice the size. So if I trace my new figure here, it goes there. It goes right next to all that to connect there. Okay, I'm going to move my n just a little bit because now we have n prime. Okay, this goes through all this mess here. And all we did was go from that small little thing to this big little hexagon. And so that's all this is we're multiplying these spots by 2. So we should be able to knock these out pretty quick, like as you catch on, because, looking for my eraser, if we start with our next one, where number 3 I said we would do, where P is negative 3, 3. This is a horrible line. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This is P, and it's at negative 3, 3. I want to make sure I'm not going to draw over the bigger shape. That's negative 3, 3. Our K on number 3 is not 2 anymore. It's now 1/3. Is that bigger than or less than 1? That's less than 1, so this shape that I'm about to draw is going to get smaller this time. Okay, negative 3, 3, 6, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. That's going to be point Q. Then they give us point R as 6, negative 3. Okay, and then they give us point S as negative 3. Negative 3, negative 3. Now this is a K that's less than 1, so this should get smaller. If I connect my points real quick, this is an easy 4-sided figure. It is actually a rectangle, so that makes it somewhat easier. But if I multiply a negative 3 by 1/3 for my P, that's negative 1/3 times a negative 3. That actually equals a negative 1. Okay, 3, when I simplify that, negative 3 over 3 or negative 1. So my first coordinate is going to be negative 1. My second coordinate was 3 also, so 1/3 times 3 is going to be a positive 1. So negative 1, 1 is going to be my new starting point for my P prime. Okay, for my Q, we'll say Q is going to be 1/3 times the first one is 6. That equals 2. So my first coordinate is 2, and it's going to be 1/3 times the second coordinate is 3. And 1/3 times 3 equals 1. So that's going to be 2, 1. And there's the top of my new rectangle. Okay. R is going to be just 1/3 times 6. That equals 2. And 1/3 times negative 3. That's going to be negative 1. So my new point is 2, negative 1. 1, 2, negative 1 is right here. And you can almost tell just because of knowing what the shape is that my other point would be here. And I would have this rectangle here where this was Q prime, this was R prime, and this is S prime. Okay, perfectly done as far as that one's going to shrink down 1/3. And so now this is what you have. The smaller rectangle is what we got after we dilated it. Okay, next one. Fix my grid. Again, you could have stopped the video if you were still copying down that last one. Do so as many times as you need to. The last one on this page for skills practice has an A of 2, 1. Okay, it has a B of 3, 0. It has a C of 1, negative 2. And this time our K equals 3. So that's bigger than 1. So this shape's going to get a lot bigger, right? This is a triangle. It's still going to be a triangle, but it's just going to be a lot bigger. We're multiplying each of these points by 3. So 2 times 3, this is for point A prime, 2 times 3 is 6. So my first x coordinate is now going to be a 6. 1 times 3 equals 3. So now we're looking at 6, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to change that to blue and not lose my spot. Here's my new A prime. Okay, for my B prime, that's going to be that 3 for my K times, first one is 3, so 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, 3 times 0, you should kind of know, is going to be 0. So this coordinate is 9, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I feel like I counted that wrong. So I'm going to double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. So that's my new B prime. And my new C prime, it was at -1. Multiply it by that 3 factor, and I get -3. And the other one was -2. Multiply it by that 3 factor, and I get -6. So my new C is at -3, -6. And I'm going to double check my work. Not -3, -6. Whereas this is not a negative one, that's why. This is a positive one. 3, -6. Good thing I checked my work. Okay, 3, -6. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Puts it right here. I thought that looked a little big, but that makes my triangle now. My new C prime is right here. That's my new triangle, and it does ask for your new points. For this, A prime would be at 6, 3. B prime is at 9, 0. And C prime is at 3, -6. That's really all you're doing. Even the story problems at the bottom, you just multiply the numbers that they give you by the scale that they gave you, and it's pretty simple to get the answer. I'm going to do a couple more on the homework practice. I put up here 1 to 4, but I may only do a couple of these. Let's do, say, 1 and 2, where 1K is above 1 and 1K is below 1 again. So we'll do one more that gets bigger and one more that gets smaller, and then hopefully by that point you can do the rest of these on your own and be an expert at dilations. Dilations are a lot easier than rotations were. Hopefully you feel like that. Take a minute, stop your video if need be, catch up, get that triangle taken care of while I redraw. Get my axes back up here. I'm just going to do 1 to 2. And number 1, my S is at -2, 1. Okay, my U is at 0, 1. And my N is at -1, -1. So we've got this fairly small triangle here. That's point N. -1, -1. Okay, well we have a K this time that is at 4. It's a pretty big K. We're multiplying all these guys by 4. Okay, so for my S prime, my S prime is going to be that 4 times -2 first. So that's -8. And my 4 times 1 next. So that's going to be still a 4. And so negative 8, 4 is my next S prime. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my new S prime. Okay, and there's the coordinate. Okay, my new U prime is 4 times that first one is 0. So my first coordinate is going to be now 4 times 0 is 0. And my other one is 4 times 1. So that equals 4. And my coordinate for U prime is 0, 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Checking my work. Making sure I'm not making mistakes for you. Then I go to my N prime would be that 4 times, first one is negative 1, so that equals negative 4, and the next 4 is times that negative 1 again, so that's also negative 4. So it should almost make sense that now 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's where my new N prime is. Negative 4 is the coordinate for N prime. There's that coordinate, there's U prime's coordinate, there's S prime's coordinate. So that way you don't necessarily have to label it again. If you connect your dots, connect the dots, and there's my new triangle for K being 4. Okay? Stop the video, catch up on that one. I'm going to set up the last one and we'll be done for the day. And we'll be done for chapter 6. That's the best news. Last one I'm going to do. Okay, this is number 2 on homework practice, where K is going to be 1/2. And so they tell us that M is negative 3, 1. Let me redraw this.